Hi, I'm Susanna Bowling, and this is live from the Hotel Edison. Times Square Chronicles presents. My next guest I've had on before, but this time he has written a new book. Stewart F Lane is part owner of the Palace Theater. He is Broadway HD. He is a producer. He used to be an actor, and he is one of the best people. He and his wife, Bonnie Comley, are two of the best people I know. And he has written a new book based on the Palace Theater. I'm so excited to present and represent Stewart F Lane. Stewart, how many books have you written so far?
Well, so far, I've written 4 books, all extolling the virtues of Broadway and the theater and explaining it. So the first book I wrote was Let's Put on a Show, which talks about how to produce for the theater, and whether you're doing community theater or off-Broadway, or you're trying to raise money for a charity, this is the book to tell you how to put it together. The second book was to talk about the Jewish contribution to the American theater, Jews on Broadway. And then I wrote, inspired to write the book Black Broadway.
Wait, I'm surprised that Mel Brooks didn't make that into a musical.
There's still time for that. Then I wrote another book called Black Broadway, which about the African-American contribution to the American theater.
And expected to come soon on Broadway by Kenny Leon.
He wrote the introduction to it, as a matter of fact. You're insightful, see that? Exactly. Then in celebration of the Palace Theater coming back on the market and being an owner of it, an operator of it, and loved New York, and I love the theater, I wrote this book. It's called It Happened at the Palace. And this book covers the history of the Palace Theater from the vaudeville days of the 1900s with Fanny Brice and W.C. Fields and Harry Houdini, who played the Palace. Because playing the Palace back then was the ultimate goal. If you played the Palace, you were considered a star, a success. This was the epitome of what vaudeville was about.
Was Ziegfeld there?
Ziegfeld had a rival theater. The Ziegfeld Theater, his own. Same era, though, same period of time. Then with the advent of talking pictures, the Palace Theater became a movie house. And one of the first shows that was there was, well, the RKO Palace showed Top Hat, the musical with Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers.
Wait, weren't you going to bring that back to the Palace at one point?
I produced a stage production of that in London, and got the Olivier Award for that. And hopefully we'll bring it here.
I hope so. I think that's a show that could really work right now.
Well, it's singing, dancing, and Irving Berlin. You don't do much better than that. Well, then it was because of the talking pictures and the advent of movies, they converted into a movie house with Top Hat as the first musical there. And then in the early 40s, it actually premiered Citizen Kane, premiered at the Palace Theater. Then by the 50s, we started to mix in some concerts as well as movies. So we had Judy Garland come in, and we had Danny Kaye, and we had Jerry Lewis that would come into the Palace Theater to play. But it wasn't until the mid-60s that my partner came from Detroit and bought the Palace Theater and converted it into a Broadway house. Now, there's a difference between a vaudeville house and a Broadway house. So the fact that he brought it in was quite amazing.
Wait, what's the difference?
Well, one in particular is that vaudeville was usually patronized by men. So the men's room was always a lot larger than the ladies' room, and that kind of prevailed until recently when we did the renovation. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So Nederlander organization comes into New York and establishes itself with the Palace Theater. And I joined in with them in the early 80s when I became a partner with them and started sharing not only the responsibility and the guardianship of a theater, but the culture of New York and the American theater, and where we were going to go with it. So it was very exciting to be a part of that, because the 70s were a tough time during that transition period of audiences and culture. But through the 80s and the 90s, phenomenal growth in the theater industry, great times. We began to do shows that didn't run just 2 or 3 years, shows that ran decades, and became part of our American culture. And that was really an exciting time to be part of it.
What's the longest show that ever ran at the Palace?
One of my early shows, my first Tony Award, La Cage aux Folles. We ran almost 6 years there at the Palace Theater, and what an exciting show that was, breaking new ground. Really, the kind of show every producer longs to make. Socially important, financially successful, a show that really means something and stays with you, and a great score by Jerry Herman. Harvey Fierstein did the book, Arthur Lawrence was the director. A great team, just a wonderful experience all the way around.
But it's also a perfect tagline for the theater, I am what I am.
When George Hearn would sing that song at the end of the first act, it's the hairs on the back of my neck would stand up because it was so exciting. And then when he triumphantly walks off the stage, down the aisle and out of the theater, just an amazing theatrical moment.
Besides La Cage, of all the shows that are played at the Palace, which one is your favorite and why?
Well, besides La Cage, that's a tough one, but I would have to say the Will Rogers Follies. You know, this was fun. Pierre Cassette, who was producing the show, comes to me and he says, listen, I've got this new show I want to do based on Will Rogers, and I want to invite you to a presentation of it, of an audition. So I go to the audition, and afterwards I'm going, Pierre, you got some really talented people involved with it, but, it doesn't quite gel for me. It's not quite there. He says, Stu, I'm doing one more event, one more presentation. It's going to be at Tavern on the Green. I want you to see this. So I go to Tavern on the Green, and I'm going, okay, let's give it a shot. And this time he had Keith Carradine there. And Keith was so good. He was so impressive that I could only say, I could spend 2.5 hours, 3 hours with this guy. This character is so inviting and clever and fun. Put that together with Tommy Tune, Comden and Green, Peter Stone. I said, this could be a hit.
That's so funny because Will Rogers, when it was done as a one-person play, again, it had to be about who was playing it because Will Rogers was so engaging. It's a big shoe to take on, and people I don't think really realize that.
Oh, and it didn't happen overnight. Tommy Tune was really at his genius best with this show. We didn't get to go out of town with tryouts because it was a big show, and we actually previewed in New York. So from day one, we were being scrutinized by the columnists and some of the critics, which I thought was a little unfair, quite frankly. But all through that, Tommy would take advice from the producers when we spoke to him, from the choreographers, and he nose to the grindstone, kind of never wavered from really working on the show, pared it down and to the hit that it was.
I have to say, it's funny because now that I think about it right now, you've got Tammy Faye coming in there, and it's going through the same scrutiny and the same meanness, even though it premiered in London. I'm seeing it Sunday. I can't wait.
Oh, it is a delightful show. I mean, the cast is first rate, and the approach to the whole Tammy Faye is very lighthearted, and it takes her point of view with a sense of humor. So I think that and from the top of the show, this is kind of an interesting directorial point, but from the moment the show begins, they set the tone of exactly what you're about to have, so you can sit back and relax because to know you're in good hands for a comic look at it.
Do you think, though, that audiences are ready to take, I don't know any other way to say this, but villains that duped people both financially and spiritually and mentally, are they ready to say, oh, you were a good person?
Well, it's a tale of morality, and absolute power corrupts absolute. She almost comes across as the hero that she was, because she was very outspoken for the gay community at a time when they needed all the support they could get. And, I could support with La Cage au Fond and make some social statements. She supported on the 700 Club, supporting the LGBTQ community.
Oh, yeah, because she had to go against Anita Bryant. The renovations in the Palace, what makes you the most thrilled that you finally got to see this vision?
Well, I've been partners now over 45 years with the organization, with the Palace Theater. And to me, I love New York, and I love theater. So to be part of it, to have a piece of it, was always very exciting. And the concept of being able to take this 1913 theater, renovate it completely, and improve the guts of it so that it's ready for the 21st century. Because we improved on the dressing rooms, we improved on the facilities for the patrons, the bathrooms, the box office, to bring it into the 20th, but maintain the 1913 integrity of the interior of the theater. And that's all with elevating it 30 feet off the ground.
That is such an amazing feat. I haven't seen this yet, surprisingly enough. So you're going to get me there Sunday, actually, but I can't wait. I actually want to go with Magda and document this because did you guys do a documentary when you were doing this to show on Broadway HD?
Well, I did write a book. It happened at the Palace. That's a good start right there.
Did you do a documentary for Broadway HD?
We're in the process of doing that now with PBS. So we're actually in the middle of that.
And will the book be a big part of that?
I hope so. I think it should be, yeah.
Renovating the Palace, writing the Palace book, Broadway HD, producing. What gives you the most amount of pleasure? Is it I can't say the word, compartmentalized, or does each one give you a different kind of thrill, or is there one that just is the thing that does it?
It's funny you mentioned that. I grew up here on Long Island in Great Neck, and growing up, my first introduction to the theater was getting the New York Times and reading the arts and leisure section. Well, my brother took the sports section.
Wait, did you go down on Saturdays to go get it? Because I did.
Yes, oh, definitely. Or Saturday night, at midnight when they would deliver it. Yes, catch the Sunday Times early. So that was how my first introduction. Being able to, at 16 years old, I could finally get on the Long Island Railroad, come into the city, and see the theater. So I always wanted to be part of the business and the industry and the artistic side of it. I studied acting, got a BFA from Boston University, still my equity card.
Wait, what show did you get your equity card with?
I went out to Sullivan, Illinois, and was in Oklahoma with Peter Palmer, who was the original Lil Abner on Broadway. It was Sullivan, Illinois, about an hour outside of Champaign-Urbana. Not in the middle of nowhere, really.
And who did you play?
Oh, I played one of the cowboys. That was there. That was my first equity experience there. And then from then on, I worked with Van Johnson, and I did work with Ed Hurley, the voice of Kraft, and did summer stock and commercials and some joint SAG and AFTRA, and that was fun. When to me, it was a young person's business, but I was able to travel to places I wouldn't normally go to, play roles. I had the lead in Picnic. I was in The Odd Couple. I was in the Philadelphia Story. Had some great fun and some great times with that.
No, I agree. I think number one, you have to be an athlete. So if your body is breaking down, or if you've gone through accidents, which is what happened to me, sure, you can be an actor still, but not if you're a perfectionist, which most actors are. I think that you need your health first and foremost over anything, and that breaks down after a certain amount of years, especially if you dance.
Especially dances. Well, I'm very active with the Entertainment Community Fund, which used to be called the Actors Fund, which is very much supportive of the people in the industry. So whether they're Career for Dancers that they've merged with, or the Phyllis Newman Women's Initiative, or any kind of social activity or financial help that people in the community, not just the actors, but the ticket takers, the cameramen, anyone who works in the industry, because it is such a frail, vulnerable business.
Hey, the Phyllis Newman Clinic, that saved my butt so many times. I can't even tell you, because I didn't know where to go, and it's like, somebody who loves actors, okay, I'm going there.
The organization has been hugely successful. Joe Benicasso, who heads it up, has done an amazing job. And every year they get rated. 85% of all the money they raise goes towards the fund itself. And they always get the 5 stars that they deserve.
Oh, wait, is that for Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS with the Red Buckets, which is happening right now, by the way?
It is. Yeah, Broadway Cares donates to the Entertainment Community Fund. So they actually donate to us in a big way.
Well, I have to say, I was very grateful. I got to be one of your guests at the Broadway League, and I watched as you and Bonnie donated money to help playwrights. I was so proud to know you, number one. Not that I wasn't before, but I was so proud that you and Bonnie put your money where your mouth is. And you put your heart and your soul and everything about you to what you say is what you are. And I love that about you.
Well, I try to encourage not only the industry to be a safe and healthy place, but I'm very active with my alma mater, Boston University. So I donate to the school. I started a musical theater program there. And I set up a program where the graduating acting students get to come to New York and audition for casting directors and the producers before they graduate. So they have a sort of a running start to begin with.
And they need that. I mean, people do not understand. You can have a BA, you can have credits from other places, but if you don't know people, and if doors aren't open to you, oh my God, it's like hitting your head on a brick wall.
Right, and Bonnie and I started Broadway HD as part of that, campaign to enlarge the influence of Broadway to the rest of the world. So we made it, democratized it, made it affordable and accessible, so that young and old can have that kind of, at least the sense of the Broadway experience. Because frankly, Broadway still is the place to find the best of what America has to offer in terms of talent. And I mean on stage, set design, costume design, writing, witticisms, and music. I mean, this is the best when you come to New York and see that. It's quite proud of it.
No, I agree. Have you seen Maybe Happy Endings yet?
No, I missed the...
Oh my God, Stewart, it's one of the best shows I've seen in a long time. You're going to love this show. I was excited to see it. I was like, oh my God, it's great. I get excited when shows are good.
Oh, well, we want an industry that's healthy. We want an industry that's robust. And when you have shows that, I can't wait to see it, but it sounds great.
It's a love letter. It's a love letter to life, to love, to how we should be. It's great. It's fabulous.
To life, to love, and how we should be.
Yeah, as you can tell, I get excited. So let's open up the book. Oh, here, you hold the mic.
Welcome to the Stewart Lane Show, and from the libraries, I worked with Playbill. Philip Birch was very helpful in using his magazine as part of this. A lot of people to thank for this. It doesn't just happen by itself. So, but it's a theater that's gone through transitions with the times changing. It just shows that the theater will always be here, whether it's a live theater, a movie theater.
I'm so excited to tell you. So one of my guests that's coming on is Heather Headley.
Oh, really? Oh, what a lovely person. She's one of the best. The best. Her, her Aida was just superb.
No, I think it's so great. You've got Andrew Lloyd Webber. Not Andrew Lloyd Webber. Elton John coming to. I'm sorry, Superstar. That poster was in my head. You've got Elton John from Aida. Now, somebody told me he did another musical at your show. Somebody told me recently that 3 shows of Elton John's played the Palace. Is that true?
I think just the 2.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Aida and this one, Tammy Faye. Great score, by the way. Elton John has written not only a funny score, but kind of a gospel sense to some of it, which is a lot of fun. And the whole history, for those who don't know about the whole televangelist theory, how it came through television and the 700 Club and how it exploded. And that Tammy and her husband, Jim Baker, were the ones who launched all that, using puppets to sell religion.
I don't remember the puppets. I remember her crying and the black mascara flying down her face. But it's almost like they went from Amy Semple McPherson in the 50s, right? Which they made a musical with Kathy Lee. And now you've got Tammy Faye, so I'm excited about this.
Well, it's terrific because it fits in today's society with multimedia on stage, a lot of television, and the influence that media has had on us.
Is there a show that you would like to come into the Palace that either somebody hasn't written yet by composers you would love to be there, or somebody that you would love to star there that hasn't performed at the Palace?
Oh, that's a tough one. There's enough talent out there, so I like to leave the playing field open for that. That's not one in particular. Some have already played there. Alan Menken, Kander and Ebb, Jerry Herman. I've been lucky enough to work with some of the best so far, and yet there's a lot more I want to work with, too.
I would like to see Pasek and Paul come there. Ooh, I would like to see La La Land, which I've heard they're making into a musical, come there, or The Greatest Showman.
All good shows, all good possibilities. I can't wait to. But the Palace might be booked.
It's booked after this. Is there something booked after Tammy Faye?
No, Tammy Faye, now and forever.
Is there anything that I haven't asked you about the Palace or the book or Broadway HD? Oh. Wait, I do have a question. So what should we be looking forward to for Thanksgiving and the holidays that's coming on to Broadway HD?
Oh, well, we have an exciting holiday lineup. We just launched a special offer with a $50 off a annual subscription, which people will be hearing about and getting in the mail. But we have a lot of exciting things going on that we're going to announce in the next week or so. So I will just say that we just launched Between the Lines, which was an off-Broadway hit that we have done, and then we've got that, and very successful on our show, and a couple of other ones that we're going to surprise you with.
Can't wait to see. So now back to the other question. Is there anything that I haven't asked you about the Palace, about you, about Bonnie, about anything that you're doing that my audiences should know and that you want the world to know?
Well, they should know that Bonnie's doing fine, and we're working hard together, and we're excited. We're exciting because we're celebrating the 10th anniversary of Broadway HD. This is actually 10 years that we launched. We launched in 2015. And we have special events going on throughout the year that we're going to have to celebrate that. I think one of the exciting things was with the Palace Theater and the renovation and bringing it back in was the care. Two things: the care that was taken to lift it off the ground to make sure that no harm was done to our baby, and the second was the craftsmanship of the unions that came in, certainly to be proud of, and pride in their work and the craftsmanship that they did in renovating it. It can be seen if you look at the design and the mixture of the silver and the gold together. Oh, it's beautiful, and they've all done a great job. We had a great team working with us, couldn't be better. So come see the theater, come see Tammy Faye, and have a happy New Year.
Can Magda and I come film the Palace and show it to our readers? Is that possible?
Sure, we can work something out.
If you want somebody that loves theater and the people in theater more, there could be nobody else besides Bonnie Comley and Stewart F Lane. I am so grateful that they were my guests today, and they brought me the book about the Palace. I cannot wait. I just got a brand new apartment, so it's definitely going on my coffee table. I would like to thank Magda Katz for always filming us and making us look good and sound good, and Ramel Gopez and the Edison Hotel for giving me a home and making me feel welcome and letting us have, live from the Hotel Edison, this is Times Square Chronicles Presents.